On the way to Washington, President Zelensky stopped off in Brussels to appear alongside the President of the European Commission, who, at his request, will go with him to the White House tomorrow for his meeting with President Trump.
Europe has been at Ukraine's side, united, and we will support you for as long as it takes.
You don't have the cards right now.
Few could forget the last meeting between President Trump and President Zelensky in February.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
Keen to avoid a repeat when he re-enters this room tomorrow, a posse of European leaders, including the Prime Minister, have announced they will also now be attending in an unprecedented show of solidarity.
Thank you for making yourself available and taking the time.
Keir Starmer joined a virtual meeting this afternoon hosted by France's President Macron to talk strategy.
The objective of this meeting very clearly is as well to be completely clear about the security guarantees we want, the next steps.
President Trump rolled out the red carpet for President Putin in Alaska on Friday, before rolling back on his core demand for a ceasefire in Ukraine in favour of a permanent peace agreement. The president took to social media today to promise big progress on Russia. That progress could be NATO-style security guarantees to help Ukraine safeguard its frontier, according to the president's special envoy.
We agreed to robust security guarantees that I would describe as game-changing. We didn't think that we were anywhere close to agreeing to Article 5 protection from the United States, in legislative enshrinement within the Russian Federation, not to go after any other territory when the peace deal is codified.
Vladimir Putin reportedly told President Trump he would end the conflict if President Zelensky handed over full control of the Donbas region. In a brief press conference, President Zelensky said giving up territory was impossible under the Ukrainian constitution and called for the killing to stop.
Putin has many demands, but we do not know all of them. And if there are really as many as we heard, then it will take time to go through them all. It's impossible to do this under the pressure of weapons. So it's necessary to cease fire and work quickly on a final deal.
International borders cannot be changed by force. These are decisions to be made by Ukraine and Ukraine alone. And these decisions cannot be taken without Ukraine at the table.
The Prime Minister is well practiced in the choreography of solidarity. Tomorrow, a new tactic will be trialled: strength in numbers, as Europe races to respond to President Trump's latest position.
Well, a little earlier, I spoke to the Ukrainian MP Alexander Mereshko. He's chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the Ukrainian Parliament. I began by asking him what he thought of Ukraine potentially accepting the loss of some territory in order for there to be an agreement.
Well, first of all, I would like to remind those 5 red lines which were outlined by the European leaders plus President Zelensky during the virtual meeting with President Trump. And he seems have agreed to these red lines. One of them is definitely includes territorial integrity of Ukraine. So violation of territorial integrity or any territorial concessions by Ukraine is absolutely out of the question.
If there's no space for negotiation, as President Zelensky said today, that's where we start. If you don't think there's any space for negotiation, there will never be a peace deal.
The space for negotiations has certain framework, certain boundaries, and these boundaries are established by Ukrainian constitution and principles of international law. But the thing is that Putin is deliberately using all kinds of provocations by putting forwards these kind of peace treaty ideas and so on. He understands perfectly well that these kind of, so to speak, initiatives on his part, they're absolutely unacceptable for Ukraine. But he's using this method, these tools, in the hope that Trump will blame Ukraine, saying that it's kind of obstacle to peace or to ceasefire.
So it's a trap, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that it's a deliberate trap created by Putin, and I hope that President Trump will be wise enough not to fall into this trap.
So one of the things we've also heard today is that the Americans are potentially willing to offer some kind of security guarantee. What kind of security guarantee do you think would be necessary, given that it's unlikely, highly unlikely to be anything to do with NATO?
Well, yes, the thing is that the key question here is what kind of security guarantee is reliable enough to serve as a deterrent against Putin's new invasion? In other words, what is deterrent, reliable deterrent, effective deterrent from the perspective of Putin? And at the moment, there is only one such deterrent, which is NATO membership for Ukraine. You're absolutely right. So we should continue to insist on NATO membership
for Ukraine. But that's also a red line for Putin. That's a massive red line for Putin. So if there's going to be a security guarantee, surely it has to be some kind of European equivalent of Article 5.
The problem with the equivalent of Article 5 is that it's very kind of simple. What is implied or what it means to apply Article 5? It states clearly that the armed attack against one NATO member means armed attack against all member states. So the key question is who is ready, who is willing among European countries and including the United States to provide such guarantee for Ukraine.
Which might mean boots on the ground, ultimately.
Exactly. It means that the soldiers of this country will be fighting on the Ukrainian soil against new Russian aggression. And if we are talking about nuclear state, this country should be prepared to use nuclear weapons to protect Ukraine against Russian aggression.
That's a very, very big call.
It is. That's why the best and the cheapest and the most reasonable security guarantee is NATO membership.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how hopeful are you about tomorrow's meeting?
Well, I'm not hopeful at all. I think that nothing will come out of this, that all the parties will remain with their interests or on their positions. So I'm not hopeful. But of course, despite my pessimism, I would like to be proven wrong.
Mr. Mereshko, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.